going. So all of you should put questions in. Probably the biggest questions I get, how do you turn the steering wheel? You want to have your left hand on left side, right hand on right side. You want to turn hand over hand. You want to learn how to turn the steering wheel. You don't want to cross your elbows because there's an airbag. So we want to have our hands at 7 and 5. 7 and 5 is the most preferred method based on the National Highway Safety Transportation organization. They're here in the United States. If we were here in Asia, China, or Japan, it would be a different organization. So people always criticize others. Well, you shouldn't turn hand over hand. You shouldn't turn hand to hand. We're looking at what our national organization says. If we were in the UK, they do things differently. We were in Australia, they do things differently. So we want to, use the best method possible to allow us to be successful, and that's what it's about. So I ask you to put your questions in. How do I merge on the freeway where there's no room? Either you go ahead of the cars that won't let you in, or you slow down and let them merge out. Either you're going to go ahead of the pack or behind the pack. It's one of the two. A lot of beginners don't make decisions. They have a difficult time judging speed and distance. So as a beginner driver, you're going to hesitate a lot because you just don't have the experience. Your mom makes it look easy. Your dad makes it look easy. But you don't have experience, so you kind of hesitate. So your parents need to be patient enough with you to allow you to make some mistakes and grow. But today in 2024, people want to be TikTok famous. They want to be YouTubers. They don't want to put in the work and work on thumbnails and hook statements. They just want to get all the money and glory, but they don't want to put in work. So beginning drivers judge distance very poorly. They judge space very poorly. So as a result, they hesitate. And when you hesitate, that's when you usually have an accident, get ran over, get cut off, and then you're like, I don't know what to do. So it does take some time. Usually the first 90 days are the most dangerous. So once you're done with your driver's education, you're going to really have to get out there and practice. But if you scare your mom and dad, they won't practice with you. How do you scare them? You turn a right turn on a red light, you almost get hit. You make a left turn and almost get hit. You don't check your blind spot and cut off a car. And typically that does happen, but a good instructor will be kind, patient, support you, and not scream. But your parents are not instructors. They're going to cuss you out because you don't listen. Or they're going to scream at you because they're scared. I have a brake in the car. Your parents do not. I'm trained to drive adults and teens. Your parents are not. So the reality is different. Example, if your mom and dad are aggressive and run lights and tailgate, you could be aggressive, run lights and tailgate. And you think it's normal. If your mom and dad throw the middle finger up, you could throw a middle finger up. But that's not how reality is, because there's always a bigger fool than you on the road. And if you do that to the wrong person, they're going to hurt your feelings. So that's some of the problems. And I'm glad we took the time to kind of answer that question and to give you a reality. I won't lie to you when you guys drive with me. What is the number one thing students fail on immediately? They don't look at cars. They pull out in front of cars. Beginning drivers misjudge distance. They don't leave a lot of room. New drivers don't judge distance and speed very well. They don't follow verbal instructions. Your mom says go, you put your foot on the brake. Your dad says you're going too fast. You just look at your dad. So you don't follow verbal instructions. You don't judge distance very well, and you don't look into your turns. We're going to see some videos in a moment. You need to be able to look into, if you're going right, I should see you looking to the right. If you're going left, I should see you looking to the left. You look down at your steering wheel. You look down at your foot. You misinterpret stop signs and yield signs. Stop means stop for 3 seconds. Yield means you cover the brake. You won't do that because you're nervous. Because you see your mom and dad blow stop signs. You're like, it's not important. And then you're like, I'm going to go ahead and do it. But then when the police come around, you get a ticket, your mom and dad screams at you. So your mom and dad have to model good behavior. When do you get your permit? You get your permit after your 6 drives, After you pass your test, after you attend 24 hours of class, you have 6 drives, 4 hours of observation. So typically it's going to be about 6.5 weeks. For some of you who miss class, like some of these kids, it's going to be 7.5 or 8.5 or 9.5, or it's going to be 2 months from now or 3 months from now, because kids act up in class and get kicked out. Kids miss days because of band or football. Kids miss drives. Whatever the reason is, some of you here for a makeup. So, because I think kids don't put driving first. Like you have band, you have football, your prom is coming up, you're trying to get scholarships. So you got to put driver's education first. A lot of people don't do that. So that's why some of you are here. I try to get you done as quick as possible. The special left, some places you can only make a left-hand turn. We can't make a left-hand turn at the traffic light. You have to go down past the light, make a left-hand turn on. It's actually safer. Some states you can make a left turn at the light. Some states you can't. So in our state, you cannot make a left turn at the light. At some lights, you have to go down 1 block, make your left, and go around, then make a right. It's smoother for oncoming traffic. What do you do if there's a car accident? If you're involved in an accident, you need to make sure you pull it over to the side. You want to help the person who's injured. You want to take a picture, take a video. This is what happened. Don't admit fault. The police officer will reconstruct the accident, and they will determine whether you get a ticket or the other person that gets a ticket. Typically, what happens if your car is not drivable, it'll be towed home. Then your car will be towed to a service center. You're going to have to get a couple of insurance estimates. They're going to fix the car or it's going to be totaled. Totaled is your car cannot be repaired. The reality is, let's say Susan and Maddie are driving a 2015 Ford Explorer that's rusty, but it's really safe. If the car or truck is totaled, your parents are not going to get you another one. Okay? You'll have to walk for a couple of years, and then maybe when you're a senior, your mom and dad might say, hey, we can get you a car now because we didn't have the money because you got into an accident, but it wasn't my fault. You got into an accident and the car is totaled. Mom and dad don't have the money. Man, I see Caden is missing right now. I wonder, oh, Caden, there you go, man. I was just calling your name. I said you were missing. Wow. I just want to make sure you get your hours. So if you have an accident, it's really going to set you back. It's going to set your parents back because used cars, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000. Insurance is probably $2,000 or $3,000 a year because you're underage. You see where I'm going with this. A $3,000 car will really be $10,000 because you can't afford the insurance. You're going to be on your insurance until your parents' insurance until you're 24. So we're talking some reality now. So you don't want to have an accident, right? Let's get some other questions in here. Who has the right of way at a roundabout? Traffic that is already in the roundabout. Again, traffic in the roundabout is going to be on your state test. Traffic that is already in the roundabout has the right of way. You need to yield. If you're going to the right, you need to turn on your right turn signal down. If you're going to the left, if you're going in and around to the left, turn on your left turn signal. If you're going straight, you do not need a turn signal. Roundabouts are common in the United States, in the UK, Australia, Germany. More and more roundabouts are being created because it's a safer way to travel. So cars already in the roundabout have the right of way. You need to yield. I want to see you looking, checking traffic. You won't because you're going to be nervous. You're going to be looking down at your hands. You're going to be looking somewhere else. You might even be looking at me. And I'll say, no, don't look at me. Look at the road. Is parallel parking hard? It is if you don't practice. About 30% of the people don't pass the test because they don't practice parallel parking, because I have good friends who are road testers, and I talk to them about the failure rate of people failing parallel parking. You have to practice those fundamentals. You've got to line your car up, reverse at a 45 angle, turn your wheel all the way to the right. Please keep those questions coming in, because you're going to be working soon. And if you don't practice turning your wheel all the way to the right and merging in slowly and turning your wheel back to the left, you won't understand how to parallel park. And then your parents are going to say, come on, I'm tired, practice. And then you're going to fail parallel parking. You just wasted $250 or $175, and then you feel like a piece of crap because you didn't practice. So you guys are 16 or 17 or 15, 5. You have to practice. And if your mom and dad don't practice with you, you want to understand, your instructor will practice with you. I will practice with you. But your parents need to pick off where I left off. I'll talk to your mom. I'll talk to your dad. I'll talk to your grandma, whoever your guardian is, because some of you don't live with your parents. Let's keep going. Put more questions in. If the road is clear, can you turn right on red? The first thing, you need to look to your right. Is there a sign? And then the second thing, you need to stop because it's a red light. So you have to stop first. You have to look to the left. Is it clear? If it's not clear, you can't go. You'll get ran over. If it's clear, you got to check. Is there a sign there that says no right turn on red? So that's the order. You stop, you look to your left because cars have the green light. And then if there's a sign to your right, then you have to stop. You got to read the sign. To be honest, a third of the population can't read. Your test is on a 5th grade reading level. I'm just letting you know this. I'll say it again. A third of the population cannot read. The test is on a 5th grade reading level of understanding. So if you don't understand and you can't read multiple choice type questions, you're going to struggle. So I'm just being honest with you. How should you pass on a highway? Well, first you want to make sure it's legal. Do you have a broken yellow line? Do you have a broken white line? If you have a broken white line, you can pass in the same direction. Do you have enough room? Is it on a curve? Is it on a hill? So you got to understand, if it's on a curve and you can't see, you're going to get hit. If it's on a hill, you can't see, you're going to get hit. If it's at night and your car is slow and there's not enough room, you're going to get hit. So you want to first make sure, is it safe? Then is it legal? And if it's safe and legal and it's clear, you will accelerate, look over your shoulder. When you see the car's headlights or lights in your mirror turn signal blind spot, you get back over to the right. Good question. I can tell you're learning how to drive. How often should you change your oil? It depends on how long you drive. Are you driving on a dirt road? Are you driving from the suburb to downtown Detroit? Are you driving from Dallas to Houston, Texas? Are you driving from Los Angeles out to Long Beach to see Snoop Dogg? For jizzle, my nizzle. Yes. Are you going to go see Snoop Dogg? Right? If you're driving a lot of highway mileage, then you might want to consider you changing your oil maybe at every 3,000, every 4,000 miles, every 5,000. It depends on your driving. If you're driving a lot of stop and go, you might want to change it because that's really harder on your engine. You want to let the car get up to operating temperature. There are purifiers in the oil. There's different chemicals to coat the cylinder rings. You want to let your car get warm. If you don't let your car get warm and you drive from home to school and your car never gets warm, you're going to have more wear in the engine. So it depends on how far you drive, where you drive, what type of driving you do. It could be 3,000, 5,000, 7,000. Oils have more chemicals in there to get more wear. If you have conventional motor oil, then that's regular oil with no special lubrication. If you have synthetic, that can last longer. I have a race car. I have a special application. I have zero weight oil, 010. So my car gets up to about 180. I go about 150 and a quarter. Then I shut it down. I want an oil that has very thin weight so I can get maximum horsepower. You don't have a race car. You have a big old bus, a big old truck. So you're driving with 2030 oil, 2040 that protects your car. If you were in Alaska in the cold weather, you might want to adjust your oil to the climate, or if you're in a really hot climate. So it depends on where you live, how you drive. Does your car have a turbocharger? Does your car not have a turbocharger? Is your car a diesel? There's so many different things to consider. Wow, I was just asking what type of oil. So there are a lot of variables. So we'll talk more about that. That's a good question. What is the fastest you can go on the expressway? In our state, it is 75 miles an hour. 75 miles an hour. Some states it's 77.
I don't know what.
I don't know what either. Some states it's 77. Some states is 75, and our state is 75 miles an hour. You won't have a chance to get there because it's about an hour away. But when we get on the expressway, you'll be driving at 70 miles an hour. You'll merge out. I like the question, what's the difference? Why do different countries steer differently? Because they have different rules. In the UK, they do hand to hand. They drive on the left. We drive on the right. Our steering wheel's on the left. Their steering wheel's on the right. In Australia, they drive on the left. We drive on the right. In India, they drive on the left. We drive on the right. So different countries have different rules for their governing organizations. That's a great question. Let's keep it going. When is it okay to creep up into the intersection? When traffic clears. Someone's been reading. You want to yield to traffic, move up to the middle. When clear, you turn hand over hand. I can tell you've been reading. Some of the differences between the UK test and the United States test. Most of our cars are automatic. But one of my students today, she drove a manual. Most of our cars are automatic. In the UK, most of them are manuals. In the UK, they drive on the opposite side. They do hand-to-hand. They have a little bit more comprehensive tests. Their signs are a little bit different. Our signs are a little bit different. But at the end of the day, you're still learning how to drive. Most of you, if you have a good instructor, you can be taught how to drive a manual. Most people from the UK, they can be taught how to drive an automatic because our cars are bigger, our roads are bigger. In the UK, the roads are smaller. I'll show you some videos if you want to see that. Why is the driver on the opposite side of the road? Why is the driver on the opposite side? Because those are the rules and laws in that country. Why are there kangaroos in Australia? Because they're native to that country. Right? Different countries do things differently. Just because we're here in the United States doesn't mean other countries do what we do. So you need to learn how, hey, Scarlett, came in a little bit late there. I'm just saying, class started at 6:30. It's, almost 7. I'm just saying. So the UK drives on a different side than we do. They have different rules. Their test is more expensive, but it all evens out. Good question. I'm going to click on, is NASCAR racing actually racing? Yes. They're skilled drivers. I went to my first NASCAR race a few months ago. Wow! They're going almost 200 miles an hour. Yes, it is. Is fishing a sport? Right? My son is playing football in Brazil. Is that really football or is he playing soccer? No, he's playing American football. Is a dunk really a dunk here in the United States as in Australia? Yeah, you got dunked on. So it's actually a race. So my question, how do I know if I have the right of way? The first car there is the first car to leave. If you're the first car, if you're on the right, you have the right of way. The right of way can be given. Fortnite is a real game because people actually make a lot of money playing Fortnite. You don't play Fortnite because none of you are good. If you were good, you wouldn't be here right now. You would be a pro gamer. So Fortnite is a real game. There are people making money. You can Google it if you don't believe me. Okay, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to review what I did. New driver advice. Beginning drivers do a lot of light traffic light driving. Watch others while you learn to drive. Watch your mom, watch your dad, watch your grandpa, watch me. Continue to study right of way because beginning drivers are confused at right of way. Use the Big 5 strategies when you drive. The Big 5, concentrate, no phone or text. I'm sorry, you can't use your phone. Next, look while turning. If you're making a left, I should see you looking to the left. Why am I looking to the left? Because you're about to get hit by a car. Oh, if you don't know where you're going to crash. And on your road test, you want to stay in the lane that you start in. If you stay in the right lane and drift to the left, you're going to have an accident. And then you're crying, the driver said car smashed, and your mom and dad's going to come and get you. Don't be that kid. Listen to your teacher. So look while you're turning. When you're making lane changes, you have to look over your shoulder. Blind spot to the left, blind spot to the right. Drive the safe speed for the conditions. If it's snowing or raining, drive slower. Have a lot of following distance. Beginner drivers tend to tailgate. Rules are different. Canada, United States, Mexico, UK. Every country has different rules on how people drive. Have a lot of following distance. Stop early and roll up. A lot of beginners almost rear end cars because they wait too long to hit the brake. Have a lot of room when pulling out of traffic. Beginning drivers tend to pull out in front of cars and trucks. You're going to scare your mom, scare your dad. They won't drive with you. Do not scare parents. New drivers don't judge distance very well or speed. You're going to be doing 20 on the expressway in a 70. They need a lot of verbal instruction. Don't assume they know what to do. Type in what you learned, please. Everyone type in what you learned. You got to have your camera on if you want the session to count. Always speed facts. If your camera's not on, then the session won't count. So everyone put in what they learned, please. All of you put in what you learned. So I have a lot of questions about the difference of the UK. I gave you several. They drive more manuals. We drive more automatics. They drive on the opposite side of the road. We drive on the right. They drive on the left. Our steering wheel's on the left. Their steering wheel's on the right. They have a comprehensive test, road signs, in-car, and then a complete knowledge and in-car test. We do the same thing, but it's more combined. Every state is different. Some states have 10 hours of driving, 8 hours of driving, 6 hours of driving. It doesn't mean the UK is any better than us. It doesn't mean the UK is any worse. Germany has a different type of test. Canada has a different type of test. And then, we can compare the differences. I think you're getting what you put in to the class. And the more you learn, the better you're going to be. People inside the roundabout have the right of way. Learned about UK rules. UKs have more manuals. When you merge, there's no room, either speed up or slow down. We don't want to abandon our merge and get to the side of the road. That's for an emergency, and that's really scary in case cars won't let us out. No one has to let you out. We each have to work. It's called the HTS, the Highway Transportation System. Here in our state, 75 is the maximum speed. People usually drive 3 to 5 over the limit. I'm not recommending it because you'll end up getting a ticket. And you as a young driver, if you get too many tickets, they're going to suspend your license. And then your parents won't like you because they're not taking you to school. You're going to have to catch the bus. You're not driving to the prom. You're going to lose your job because your mom and dad are at work. You can pay your friends $20 for a couple of weeks, but after a while, they won't care. So once you obtain your permit and you're on your way to driving, you really need to be that model citizen, like for the rest of your life, and no tickets, no accidents, because around 24, you're going to be off your parents' insurance. Your insurance rates will drop down around 22 or 23, because by then, the insurance agencies have identified this is when you start to have less accidents. So there's a lot to learn, and I'm appreciative.